Are we well? Are we bad?
All right. And I will start the streaming. You want to let the people in, someone?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. Great to have you here. We're going to get started here in just a moment.
all
And let
right.
me let me know when we are streaming. And as you are waiting, if you want to type in where you are from. So welcome from all around the world.
I just hit the stream button, so let's see if it's going to take 15 trial and errors or just one. Okay, it seems it's going to be needed more than one try. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why it does that every time. Like it gives some strange response and then eventually starts functioning. Mm.
We're live.
We are live.
Yeah.
All right. Beautiful. Well, hello, hello, and welcome everyone to the International Human Design Festival and Immersion. This is the Voices of the Festival, and my name is Karen Sherwood, and I am really, really excited about today's topic. Today, we are going to be talking about the flow of value. We're going to be taking a look at redefining money through awareness. So think about this before we dive in and get started. What if everything you think you know about money is really only just half the story? So today we're going to dive in deep to the energetic and the practical and the human design perspective on money, in how we create it, what blocks it, what expands it, and how to align with our natural profit potential. So, whether you're navigating personal finances, or you're building a business, or you simply want a healthier relationship with money, this conversation can potentially open doors that you didn't even know existed. So, again, I am really excited to introduce our guests, Tuck and Sean. And before we actually dive into the conversation, I first want to recognize both Lucretia and Veronica, who are the coordinators for the festival. And we have a very exciting announcement as well as far as the location goes. So I'd love to turn it over to both of you before we dive in and get started and talk a little bit about the location. And then we will dive in because I find this very, very exciting, especially since we're also talking about money today as well. Moving into the King's Village, if you will, for the festival, I think is really exciting. So yes, Veronica or Lucretia.
Hello, hello, everybody. And we're so glad to have you join us. And you're so welcome to also come to Bulgaria and the capital, Sofia, a city of more than 7,000 years old, with a lot of rich history, archaeological finds. We rank only third after Italy and Greece in archaeological findings. So a lot to see there. And this time we have Sofia Tour Day, so you will be able to actually dive into the riches and secrets of this um, lively city full of young people and a lot of fun as well. And we are in this beautiful, beautiful location just at the foot of Vitusha Mountain, almost 2,000 meters high is Vitusha. And we have, it will be so cozy with the spa area and massages, saunas, all kinds of Turkish bath. And I think like part of the festival will definitely take place in the swimming pool and in the sauna. So it will be up close and personal and very warm and welcoming. And it's just a beautiful place to connect and enjoy and experiment and embody. So you're more than welcome to join us. Would you like to?
Yay, I cannot wait. I am so, so very excited. And Lucretia, did you want to say something as well?
Hello, everybody. I'm also in this with Veronica together, organizing this amazing event, and also with Karen and all the other speakers and volunteers. So we are really enjoying the process. And yes, the location is really quite really cozy and really spot on for this kind of experience. And we really want to put this word embodying and having all those people around you, like really being all of us in one place to have it like the ultimate experience of the festival. I'm really also quite excited about today's topic as someone who has the channel of money 2145, and also as someone who has one of the probably deepest provocation in my not self behavior in gate 55, the gate of spirit, and also the gate of abundance. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lucretia. And again, Veronica and Lucretia, thank you so much for all of your work in putting all of this together. It is absolutely amazing. And we have an amazing topic today. And before I'm going to turn off my screen here in just a moment, but I wanted to start this topic of money with a quote from Ra. And also, it's very interesting because we are moving into trait 55 and quality 6, which is all about selfishness. And it's the possibility of finding spirit through materialism. And oftentimes, when we think of money, right, money also represents being able to purchase and experience the world. Is often we need money to do that. And so I wanted to start with Ra's perspective and then give you some other perspectives on money. It's one of the big things that we are going to be talking about in the festival, both in the live festival in talking about your profit potential and also online. There's an entire day of BG5, and BG5 is the business application of the human design system. So we're going to address money there as well. So let's start with Ra's quote, and then we'll introduce our guests. And we have Ra here as our guest today as well. And let's then talk about money. So Ra said, he said, and this is from the 64 material, the 64 material, what is it? Now I forgot.
Ways.
The 64 material ways. Thank you. It's the 64 material ways, which was his money course. He said, I'm saying that you can make money by keeping everyone not self. But you really have to see the joke in that. It's a terrible joke. It's saying, I'm going to make a fortune and you stay dumb. Just stay stupid, because if you stay stupid, I'm going to make a lot of money off of you. It's a great joke. And unfortunately, in the era of planning, it has been the big joke. I think things are shifting and changing as well. And one of the things he also said, though, is if I really had to teach you what true business looks like, of the true self, and he said, maybe I'll do that one day, it would really be hilarious because it is something else entirely, right? So there is a way that we take a look at money in the era of planning. There's a different way, I believe, that we're going to be taking a look at money as our true self as we move into the era of the individual. He also said when we're dealing, then we are dealing with Pentaland, and Pentaland is another land. Remember that this course, the 64 Material Ways, is a course about your individual potential ultimately, but I have to give you the background first. And again, this is from the 64 Material Ways. This is Ra's money course. So I'm going to stop the share here so that we can see all of our guests. And what I would like to do first is introduce both Tuck and Sean. Introduce both Tuck and Sean, and have them first of all just say a little bit of who you are and what your fascination is with this topic of money. So let's start with Tuck. Tuck is a 5-1 express builder. She's a certified BG5 instructor as well as a consultant and a dear friend as well. She also is a board certified self-empowerment and listening coach. So Tuck, I would love to turn it over to you and if you can share a little bit about you and then what fascinates you with this topic of money.
I love the question, and sometimes I don't even know how to respond when somebody says, "Who am I?" Because I change every day I wake up. I'm a new person. I was laughing as you were reading the quote, pun intended, "I'm here to be my true self." Ha ha ha, given my last name is Self. Um, I am a personal growth enthusiast. If you ask me who I was and who I am first and foremost, I'm a lover of life. I want to live at my zenith. I want to squeeze as much juice and joy out of this journey as I possibly can. I'm not real sure how to do it any other way. I think I've done it that way since I came into this world. Um, and I think it's the fact that I am a personal growth enthusiast that has things show up in my life all the time for my growth and expansion. In terms of how I choose to make a contribution to the planet, I love being a cheerleader for people, an advocate, a catalyst for transformation. What fascinates me about this particular system, again, I think the minute way back in 1997 when I went through what I call the dark night of the soul, um, I decided to make personal growth the purpose of my life. And from that point on, people, mentors, teachers, bodies of work systems have shown up, at just the right time to support my growth and expansion and transformation. And the human design, I think I said this when I was talking to Lucretia and Veronica, when I was introduced to human design the very first time, it was literally like somebody took their hand off of a cork that had been being held underwater. I'm a loud 1222. I am a loud 5-1. I've been known as a tantrum thrower, and I was told to be quiet, sit down, shut up, don't move, be still, which was excruciating for me, but I learned how to play the game. I did what they asked me to do, and so when I was introduced to this system again, it was pure freedom to know that I am here with my hands in the air to emotionally express myself. And so I have embraced every aspect of the human design system. And then synchronistically, 2017, the illustrious Karen Sherwood in BG5 showed up in my email box. And the rest is her story and history. And I could say much more, but I'm going to stop because I'd love to hear from Sean. And Sean, I hope I haven't screeched your ears since it's the middle of the night for you and you just got up. I'll bring it down a little bit, okay?
I love it, Tuck. And Tuck is going to be speaking online on the 31st, and you're going to be talking about thriving in the material world, turning your mess into your message. Beautiful. And let's go to Sean. So Sean is a 4-1 advisor and is also an IHDS certified human design analyst and a BG5 instructor and consultant and a profit potential coach. You've been writing a lot of articles as well for the BG5 Business Institute. I'd love to hear a little bit about you and then also what fascinates you about the topic of money that we're going to be discussing today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And yes, it is very late here, and I'm looking at myself on screen going, wow, you look half asleep. It's 2 in the morning, and I just woke up for this. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. So my cognition is not exactly online. I will do my best. And no, Tuck, that was fantastic. It was so nice to get a wave of your energy and really to hear the milestones in your life are the same as mine. I didn't know we were on kind of a cyclical process because I went through my dark night of the soul and complete life breakdown in 1995, 96, and then rebooted in 97, and then discovered human design later down the road in 2016, just at the tail end of psychology, graduate school in psychology. So it's interesting to hear our developmental cycles. I didn't know that at all, as far as that's concerned. And having to make our way through life without human design and figuring out once we find it that, oh, that's what I was doing the whole time in the best way I could without this incredible blueprint or template that kind of shows me how to navigate this energetically, which has been amazing. And then to answer your question, Karen, to transfer that over to BG5, which is kind of the money-making end of human design or the material end of human design. For me, it's really about approaching it with I'm an innocent motivation for those of who know what color is and rave psychology. That whole part of the program is fascinating to me. having gone into analyst training and everything. It's just the more nuance, the more detail you get, the more interesting this stuff is, and the more it synthesizes together. But what it means to me is that money and transformation, in other words, the way we enter this through human design is mostly about personal transformation. It's about going deep and finding out who we are, finding out how our blueprint works, finding how our energy works and how it doesn't, what our shadow states are, what our vulnerabilities are, what our learning potentials are from the wisdom we can acquire, and doing that as a personal growth process. And what BG5 brings in is like, well, how do we make money doing it? But to Ra's quote, it's kind of funny because it's in one sense, it's taking advantage of the not self world in order to prosper. But for me, that never aligns. For me, it's like, wait a minute, how can we make money according to our design? In other words, how can we have a relationship with the material world, including money, in a way that's in alignment with our design? That to me is what BG5 is. And that's not separate from how do you enter your design from a transformative state of finding your true potential in the world. They're congruent. They're just opposite ends of approaching the same thing. So that's where human design and BG5 have come together on a spiritual material transformation plate, if you want to call it that. I'm very wary of using the word spirituality and the whole thing because it means a million things to a million people. But basically, coming in from your own individual spirit, as Ra talks about it, which is different, but really the same. It's your own vibration, your own attunement, your own emotional frequency to what is correct for you as an individual in the world, together with what is your correct relationship with money, and how do you truly prosper or profit from that. And in a way that does not take away from others, but actually adds to the benefit of the whole. And so that's my philosophy about it. That's my approach to it. And I have a very different background in that what Tuck referred to as that dark night of the soul, that's when my whole life broke down back in 1995, 6, 7, and rebooted on a whole new curve. And I'm not going to go into that because that'd be an hour backstory. But basically, everything fell apart and life kind of plucked me out and rebooted me on a whole new chain of events that led to 16 years of living out of a backpack and doing service work around the world with two friends for no money. And yet learning that we were completely taken care of. It was not without its extreme challenges, but that by attuning to life and doing what we were called to do, throughout that cycle, we were actually taken care of financially and materially by following that track of what we look at from a human designer BG5 standpoint as that navigation, that G center, that love, identity, and direction. How do you attune to your higher principle and follow your highest sense of self and stay on track with that, navigating that point through your life, and then trust that life provides for that. And it does, but it's in a really magical way. But again, that's not without its challenges because everything that's opposed to that or that's obstructing that in the individual psyche, I have a psychological background, I'm a therapist, and also in the world and your environments that's impeding that has to be removed or requalified in order for that to happen. So one day I'll write a book on that. Today is not the day, but that's my background. So it kind of is playing devil's advocate to the whole let's go make money thing. It's like, wait a minute, how about if we align with our true spirit and integrity and trust that the money side will work out just like everything else and then allow that miracle to unfold.
Oh, I love that, Sean. Yeah, thank you so much. And you're also going to be speaking online on the 31st about the unique prosperity in your design as well. Yeah, beautiful. And then I'm also going to be speaking about it both live in Sophia and online in unlocking your profit potential and the hidden wealth of your design, and also how the new era transforms business, money, and leadership. So it's interesting. I'm a 1-3 builder, and my life work theme is I'm on the path from rags to riches, who is recognized by those higher up the ladder, aligning with higher and even mystical forces. So the 54 is interesting as an interesting trait. It's my core essence, which is both the most mystical and also the most material as well. And so I love what you said, Sean, of really, in a sense, bringing, I believe what we're moving into is, in a sense, quote unquote, bringing heaven to earth, bringing, in a sense, the spiritual into the material. And I think that's where a lot of money and our concept of money is going to change dramatically. So here is a question for both of you and for any of you who are attending here live. If you have questions or if you also want to share, we'll open it up at the end. So please feel free to type in the chat. And if you have, again, questions or things that you want to participate with and include in the conversation, we invite you to do that as well. So for Tuck and Sean, from your perspective, kind of what is money? How do we create it? And also what blocks it? If we're thinking about money in the way that we typically think about money, and again, you can put your own spin and perspective on it. But again, a lot of people struggle with money, right? They struggle with money in business, personally. Why is there that struggle with money? So, what is it? How do we create it? And why do we have that struggle? What blocks it? Would you like to start us off, Tuck?
Topic. It's a big ass topic. Um, I love money. I'll start saying that. And I haven't always loved money. Conditioning is the word that comes up for me. Fear is the word that comes up for me around money. I grew up in a family that went bankrupt back in the 60s, and that was way before that was a big deal. And so I lived a life of fear of running out of money. Sean, you said something, I think, before the recording was turned on. Maybe you said it during the recording. I also am one of those people, I cannot function if I'm doing something for money. And so it never worked for me. Like I'm somebody I love to do what makes me happy. I love to do what expands my energy. And when I kept being told that I needed to find a way, find a skill, find a job and make money, it didn't work for me ever, ever, ever. And so I, again, was smart enough. I say I'm a smart little bitch. I was this thing that I have where I love growing personally. I attracted teachers to me that gave me little nuggets of wisdom. And I think I shared, or said I was going to share. I was told that there's this thing called the paradigm of neediness that most of us are conditioned in when we grow up. And that is, we are told that we are to do whatever we need to do in life, whether we like it or not, to have something, to have the trappings of wealth. Once we have those trappings of wealth, we think we're safe, secure, certain, and we're not, so that we can be this thing that we've made up we need to be in the world. What you're talking about, Karen, moving towards this new era, it's always been a part of who I am, is the paradigm of spirit, which says be your authentic self, be who you're designed to be free, in alignment with human design, be your type, be your definition, be your strategy, so that you can, in being that authentic self, do what your natural gifts inspire you to do. Like I don't have to think to be inspiring. I don't have to think to be empowering. I don't even have to think to be funny. I don't have to think to be expansive and to want the best for people. So, to do what my natural gifts inspire me to do, that is going to bring me a life of essence. I was also taught that the language of spirit is essence, it's a feeling of spirit. I have gotten stuck on the form of a nice mate, the form of a big house. And so I spent my life fixing the form or trying to, versus that essence. So that other distinction between essence and form was huge for me. And then I will say, I remember as a coach in maybe in my early 40s, I remember sitting on the phone with clients going, all you got to do is do what you love and the money will come. And in my head, I thought, what are you telling these people, Tuck? You don't know if this is true. But what I have learned on the backside is when I dive in and I do it, I'm creating that pattern and that life where that then becomes my conditioning, which is why y'all really here at the age of 72, I have the life of my dreams. I am living in a great house. Things come to me, I think, because I'm open and available and I just want to have fun. And I will say, and then I promise I'll shut up. I love to do my work. I think the thing that's in the way of all of us, I don't want to speak for everybody else, myself living at my zenith, is not feeling my emotions, not being present to my life as it stands in front of me. When I do my work, when I'm willing to not blame, shame, guilt, moral outrage, or pity anybody else, that is when I heal myself as within, so without. And excuse my language, y'all, I'm a happy little bitch. And so that's it for me for now. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, what really blocks it, as you mentioned, that the neediness and what we have been conditioned to think that we're supposed to have, to think that we're supposed to need, to think that this is what life is about. And it's interesting that both you and Sean, myself included, has gone through that sort of dark night of the soul, as you talked about, which allows you to also see things in a different way, in a different perspective. I mean, one of the things we talk about is your mess is your message. And in going through, in a sense, the dark night of the soul, being also to see kind of the mess of what the world is, what our conditioning is, where we've been limited, where we've been held back, and also to transform it so that, like you said, Tuck, you're really a living example of what's possible when you are true to yourself and you're doing what you love and you're loving what you do. I love that. Thank you so much, Tuck. And yes, Sean, so for you, what is money? How do we create it and what blocks it?
Yeah, those are just excellent questions. And Tuck, please do not shut up because that was brilliant. And I second everything you said. And I could spend an hour giving detailed, explicit renditions of how exactly what she spoke to played out during those 16 years. Well, life in general, but certainly during those 16 years because we were plucked out of our normal, work for money environments in our own countries and put together doing service work, finding a way to make it in the world and come up with resources or attract resources or align. I would say more align or attune to the resources that are already there. For me, I really get away from the whole secret thing of manifesting and creating. And I'm not saying it's wrong or bad, it's just a different approach. I'm saying that for me, it was more of a tuning to what's already there. Like it's all already there in spirit. The abundance is already there in spirit. It's about how do we find it in form? Like how do we attract it? How do we create it? How do we manifest it? All the stuff that we use as principles. But really, to me, it's how do we attune to what's already there? And then on the other side of what Tuck spoke to, which I'll speak to, which is like how do we move? And to your point, Karen, how do we remove the obstructions to experiencing it in our lives, to whatever you call that, pulling it in, attracting it, experiencing it? It's all there. How do I find it? Right? How do I locate it? Or how do I be available for it to locate me? However you phrase that, however you turn, whatever works for your consciousness and how you're oriented in the world, it's how do I make it happen or how do I let it happen? How do I allow it to happen? And that's the piece that having, a psychological background and studying psychology for 35 years now and being a therapist and a clinical supervisor in a psychological practice and so forth, I love it, and depth psychology. I went to a depth psychology school, which is really looking at the nature of the unconscious, not exactly as we define it in human design as the body, but you can look at it that way. And it's more what's suppressed or repressed or not available in awareness, right? What is hiding from our awareness in the unconscious that we need to become aware of that is the obstacle to having us to us having a healthy relationship or healed relationship with money in a sense that we can have it in our lives in sufficiency, in adequacy, which is why I have trouble with the word profit, because profit in the corporate world basically means you make too much. Unless you have a philanthropic or profit sharing program in which that too much goes back to the people who actually made it for you, and that's fair. But the shadow side of capitalism is people profit at the expense of others' work, and that's not right. So it needs to be distributed fairly for the energy that's put in. That's another conversation. I want to get in the weeds here. So to go to the shadow side of what Tuck said, you can only you condition yourself correctly as she spoke to, as you get wiser through life, as you get more tuned through life, and you decondition yourself from what's been incorrect for you at the same time. You have to make room for the new to come in. And so you cannot just pack the new on top of the old. This is why affirmations don't work. You have to decondition or deconstruct what is incorrect in your psyche in order to replace it with the new stuff that's coming in. So for me, I love the psychology because in the process of becoming clear and attuned and in having a correct relationship with money as a resource, it's an energy. We take it too literally because our survival mechanisms are so oriented around having to have money to survive in our world, that what life did for us is pluck us out for 16 years and say, no, you're going to get your needs met. If you need food, you get food. If you need transport, you get transport. If you need a place to stay, you need a place to stay. But with or without money to get there, it took the pressure off of, oh, I have to get money to get food, to there are all kinds of ways of solving that problem. There are a million ways of solving that problem, but that food is the need, not money. So it clarified like, hey, money is a resource. It's an aspect of how you make the world go round as a human, but it's not it comes from the divine, but it's not divinely created. I mean, it's yes, in one sense it is because it's part of the flow, but it's a construct that humankind made up to make things easier in the business world, in the transaction world. So let's be clear, like what are the needs, what are the wants, what are the desires, and how is money a one resource to get there, but not the only one. There are all kinds of ways of life bringing this about, and that's what we were taught for 16 years, like all the different ways that these needs can be met, with or without money. And believe it or not, not one time in 16 years did we ever ask anyone for money. Never.
Mm.
We actually said, hey, this is what we're doing. We're doing, we were doing peace concerts. We were musicians. We're doing these things. This is how we're living. Would you like to help? And we would never say, would you like to give some money? Would you like to help in any way? And inevitably they would come up with all these different ways of helping. Would you like to stay with me and my family? Would you like to go eat at the restaurant down the street? It sounds like you guys are hungry. Would you like help with gas to get to the next place? It would be amazing how much of the spirit of the resource of what money represents as a material symbol came into life without the conditions that we put or limitations we put on money itself as the resource I need to survive in the world, which is very understandable because we're so fear-based. But I get, and so I'm magnifying what Tuck said. I'd say the other side. I'll just really quickly touch on the other side. In order to do that, to align with that spirit, Karen, you're asking what are the obstructions? Well, that's the real work. If there's real work, it's clearing the psyche, as from a psychologist perspective, that is clearing the psyche of the obstacles that come in that impede that flow from happening. That was our daily work, sometimes for hours. And that is relational, that is individual, and that is archetypal. And when you look at it from a psychological approach, you can look at it from any number of directions, but you're looking at psychoanalysis, you're looking at what's called self-object theory, what's called self-psychology. You're looking at it through attachment theory. You're basically looking at your early formation as a mammal around money in your environment. How did your parents use money? What were the attitudes around that? What did you incorporate into your very earliest formation of what is money about for you, and how much is it to fear? How much is it to hate? How much is it to love? And what does that relationship mean to you in the unfoldment of your life? So when money is used as a weapon, as a form of weaponization, from your father towards you as a kid, you grow up pretty struggling around money and not really wanting it because of what it represents symbolically. So that's the real deeper shadow work. How you are formed around money relationships and the use of money in your life growing up, whether you're aware of it or not, it's in your environment. And in human design or BG5, we would call that basically conditioning of the shadow states, right? How is money used to condition you in specific ways in the shadow elements of your design where you're pinned in to not really having a healthy relationship around it and then being desperate for it because your survival dependent on it, kind of like a parent, if you're hearing the psychology behind this. So it has to do with, what you and Tuck have referred to, but also in the process of getting there, clearing the way of what happened throughout your developmental formation in your own psychology around money and everything that it means and how it was represented and used throughout your existence, clearing that path so that you can become attuned to a correct relationship with it. And that's not an easy process. We have to be really patient there. And that's where I think human design and BG5 can play an instrumental role in our own healing, our resource, our relation with the resource of money and what it represents in spirit.
Wow.
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 Sean, if you can deliver that in the middle of the night, being poked to wake up and say, I'm like truly, truly impressed. Bravo.
Yes.
Glad it came out that way. I never know what's going to come out. It's half unconscious, so I just let it emerge.
Absolutely, absolutely brilliant. And one of the things that Ross said is the true self is not interested in making money. And I love how you put it, Sean, as well, is that it's really, how do the resources, everything that you need is already there. It's just our conditioning, as you said, that runs very, very deep, from when we were a child, and how deeply, deeply, deeply our communities, our societies, the world in general has conditioned us around money. And I think that's one of the things that is shifting and changing, especially as we move into 2027. And it's really, like you said, and it's not about oh, this conditioned, you have to have the car, Tuck mentioned this, like the car and the house and the relationship and this and that, and then whatever it is to feel like we're worthy. And part of, I think, the psychology of it as well, we can also see it in design as well, is feeling like we're not worthy or we're not worth it or we don't deserve it, which I think can also keep money at bay and away from us as well. I'm curious for both of you as well, and then I want to open it up to everyone else is how do you see money operating differently as we move into 2027? Do you think that there is going to be a different approach to money? Do you want to start us off, Tuck?
Yeah, when you ask the question, I end up taking it to myself
Mm-hmm.
that maybe it's not so much that money's going to change, I'm going to change. The way I interact with money is going to change. It feels that way versus how I use money. Um, Moving towards this age of individuality, looking at the world as it is, it feels the world that I'm in right now feels like a world of absolute distraction
Mm.
where people are doing whatever they can do to avoid, to hide, deny what's in front of them. I think one of the reasons I love being on this particular interview call today, so excited to be here with you, Sean, because I feel so aligned with everything that has come out of your mouth. To me, it's about doing my work. And I think we spoke, Karen, on the 90-minute session that I'm going to do. I was given years ago 4 steps for living a magical, abundant life. And one is to conquer your fear. Like the obstacle to money, to love, the way we do money is the way we do anything. Money just happens to be what we're talking about right now. But whatever we do here, we're going to be able to take to every other area. Conquer your fear, work on your issues, right? Because nothing's going to work if I'm not available to become. John, you were talking about becoming frequency specific to what's already out there. The house is out there, the car's out there, everything's out there. It's me becoming frequency specific to it. But if I've got stuff in my physiology and my psyche that's blocking that, I'm the one that has to do the work and be available to clear it. So it's me that's got to change, not so much money. I have the thought that when I change as I change, my relationship to money, to life, to everything else is going to shift in the same way. That's my hope for the world, that we go within, that peace in the world is when we're able to bring all aspects of who we are, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, into some sense of alignment, that we're no longer thinking, that we are present and aware to life as it's lived in the eternal present moment. And I feel like I'm getting really airy-fairy, but that's how I live my life. When I'm triggered, when anything in my life triggers me to blame, shame, guilt, that's my note to course correct and go within, because I'm the one that's blocking some aspect of my channel with the creator, and I'm the only one that can release it. And I'll just say this. I love the human design chart. I love the work that we do with BG5, but none of it's going to make any difference if I'm not available and present to be authentic, if I'm not open, if I'm not willing to do my work. So
Yeah.
again, I guess it's not so much money to me, it's everybody owning up to, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to be available to myself, others, and God in the universe. The
Mm,
end. Yeah.
I love it. Bravo. Amazing. Thank you so much, Tuck. And I think that is the key. Again, the more of us take on the work, that really work on those aspects of ourselves, we become role models for others, to inspire others that yes, they can do the same. And you are definitely a role model and an inspiration for me, Tuck. So thank you so much. And how about for you, Sean? How do you see kind of where we are right now in the world with, money being the top priority and people challenged with money? How do you see it changing as we move into the future, as we move into the era of the individual?
Great question. And I'm going to say that I think we need to start valuing the right things. I
Mm.
think a lot of what is valued out there is not worth the price of the paper that it's printed on. I think there's a lot of value ascribed to what is, material of value in the world. And I mean, literally in America, growing up, how much are you worth? Your value as a human is dependent on how much money you have. And that is, oh my gosh, the farthest thing from the truth. I've met some people that are the most incredibly valuable resources in my life that don't have a lot of money or don't have any money. A couple of them walking in India when I first got there is like that. Whoa, there is so much value to awareness since that was the top of this conversation. I think awareness needs to start being qualified as valuable and being paid for because awareness is going to be what's going to navigate us through some of these things. And that awareness comes from an attunement with the self to the spirit that you're both talking to. So I'm going to double down on what Tuck just said and agree with it completely. I'm just going to give two little nuances to it from a psychological perspective. And that is the one that we tend to blame ourselves or hold ourselves accountable for what's happened to us, and it's not. I mean, yes, we are responsible for it, but we are not at fault for it. So we cannot underestimate the level of conditioning and the depth of deconditioning very deep. I'm 59. I'm working on stuff from my childhood and my relationship with money that was instilled into me from my conditioning process, mostly with my father. Okay, and a little bit of my mother, but mostly my father. And it's really, really deep stuff, but it's very worthwhile because every little breakthrough you make will show up in different ways, not in the way you expect, but in different ways that are positive, that show you that you're doing the right level of work, the right kind of work, and changing your relationship and changing the core pattern, deconditioning the core pattern around money that's keeping you from the sufficiency or wealth that you deserve. And it's not just material, it's also experiential. It's on so many levels. Prosperity is not just about money, it's about a million things in your life. It's about the qualities of your relationships and your intelligence and your resources and environments and so on and so forth. You can go on for a long time there. But yeah, I'm going to double down on that and say, hey, look, it's deep work. So don't get down on yourself if it's not working right away. We cannot afford to punish ourselves. And all you threes out there, 1 3s, 3 5s, 3 6s, 6 3, all come on. You gotta know how difficult this plane is. All right. It's tough. It's challenging. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. And you cannot afford to beat yourself up for things going wrong that are not your fault. They're environmental. They're developmental, they're conditioned. And that work of deconditioning yourself is a noble and actual spiritual, valuable work in your life. It's a part of the process of development throughout the course of your life. I'm in my second Saturn return, and I'm still doing that work around money to help free up the energy around it so I can have a better qualified relationship with it, and talk about it and actually, like you said, like role model that as well. And it's a bit of a struggle for me, and it's a deep struggle actually, but it's happening. So there's that piece. And then there's the piece of, hey, is that my fault? Did I choose to be conditioned that way? Did I choose to be patterned that way from childhood? Did I choose to have, all those dynamics in my environment and how they were weaponized against me and all that stuff? No, no, I didn't choose that on any level. And yes, I was victimized by that, but I am responsible for what it did to me because it was done to me, and I'm going forward living my life with that. So there's a really clear distinction between being at fault, which is not good, because look, if you're at fault, there's no one there to clean up the mess. If you're not at fault, but you're responsible because it was done to you and you're carrying it forward and you don't want to carry it forward, you want to change the pattern, then be responsible, take responsibility and clean it up, but not from the place where you make yourself guilty and beat yourself up for it happening in the first place. That's a really important distinction psychologically for the framework of how we approach this, because we have to know our original innocence, right? We have to know that we
Mm.
were innocent and that we were conditioned in a way that didn't work for us, and that we're working to decondition ourselves into a way that does work for us. And that's the beauty of our developmental process.
Wow. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Sean. And thank you, Tuck. Amazing, amazing discussion. I would love to open it up. If there's anyone else who would like to share or ask a question or if you've had an aha in what we've been discussing, we would love to hear from you and also include you in the conversation as well. So yes, Lucretia.
Of course, I couldn't agree more with everything that has been said. Amazing insights and eternal truth, I would say. Um, I was thinking about the upcoming new era with the Sleeping Phoenix and these traits that are there, the 34-20, the 59-55. And it makes me see things in this way that maybe up to now, we, humanity, even in the developed countries, we were kind of conditioned because of our history of tens of thousands of years, I would say, to think that we have to focus so much on money, that we have to focus so much on survival. And we have all heard stories about millionaires and billionaires who, even though they have all this money, they still have the fear that they're not going to survive. And this is really um, out of any logic, but it just happens because it is also in our genes, I would say. But now, with moving in this new era, we are going to be really supported, I will say, from this frequency to connect deeper with ourselves, to connect in a completely different level with partners and colleagues, and start really creating a life that we would love to see manifesting, that we really have the heart for it and the spirit for it. And we're not going to be so focused on the money on the paper itself. And I do believe that this is really what is coming. Of course, there will be always the other side of the moon, I guess. We are not, transformation is not so easy. But then this is really what is coming. And if we only keep this thought in our minds, like just keeping it there, like a background, a picture, that much better times are coming in regard to everything. I
Yeah.
think we will be able to move forward with these radical changes and deep transformation on so many levels in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Lucretia. And you sparked something in me as well, and something also that Sean and Tuck mentioned as well, which is part of what BG5 is all about, is that once we can heal ourselves as an individual, we can connect with others in a completely different way. And what Sean was saying is that I love what you shared about, like the connections that you met, the connections that you made and the people that you met provided the resources that you needed when you needed it. I traveled and up with people for several years, and we would go ahead of the cast and set things up, and it was kind of the same thing where it was really more about the service. And it was amazing the magic that happened when you connect with the right people and people are enrolled in what you're doing, and that when you work together, something amazing can be created. And I think once we work on ourselves first, we can also then gather together and work together in a completely different way that is a win, 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 win for everyone. I think that's one of the things that I'm really excited about with the festival as well, especially being there live, because we are going to be doing some experiments with that live as well, with lines of communication, and not only can how we can heal ourselves, but how do we also heal our relationships with others? Because when we connect with each other in the correct way, there is magic that happens and there is abundance that happens. And again, instead of, like I'm going to be on top and I'm going to being competitive and trying to get the most resources and the most whatever, when we all share the brilliance and the energy of what we have, and work together, it magnifies tenfold. And that's really in essence where the magic happens.
I
Yeah,
just
thank you. Yeah.
I just remember a moment in my life where I was at a job that I was truly in love with, and at some point, the manager was sharing with all of us, like, "You guys, we're low on budget this month. Maybe there will be no salary. Like maybe it will be really late." And I remember no one even made face. It's like, okay, because all of us were in love with that job and with this manager. So we didn't even, no one was bothered because everyone truly loved what they do and we loved each other very much as a team. So, yeah, this is
Yeah.
another perspective on money. You just don't care.
Exactly. When you're doing what you love, you're loving what you do, and you're doing it with people that you connect with, that you love, that inspire you, the money becomes irrelevant. Yeah. Yeah, and Veronica.
Yeah, I wanted to actually look at from a different perspective because money is energy, right? Um, and actually looking from the economic perspective right now, most of the countries are in debt, and also as the money are not correct connected to the gold anymore, those really become just papers. And yet they are a currency of exchange of energy. So in the new times, I believe we're going to go more into barter type of economy or all those economic structures that are being discussed right now, like basic income or indeed trading with resources. So it's all about energy. And you so rightfully, Karen, mentioned that if you are in tune with your own energy, you will be attracting the right resources. If we go back in time, let's say the Greek times, when you were a politician, or you would only expect to be taken care of, have a house, have food, and maybe while you're alive, see your own monument if people really appreciate you. And it was never about money. And I think we're kind of going back to those times and looking at cosmology and what Ra said, we are going back to the dark ages. And in that respect, I think money will lose their value as we're used to, and it will be completely redefined. Um, Although right now it's difficult to imagine that, but um, yeah, with all these cryptocurrencies and all of that, we see that it's just a form of energy. And that for me is super important because it's um, it's something to exchange for value. It's more about the value than the tangible equipment, what so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I love that
exactly.
topic. I can go on and on and on, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think you bring up a good point. Like right now, we can't even imagine what a world is like without money because we've been so deeply conditioned by it. However, I believe that large institutions, and as Ross said, are going to start to break down. And as they start to break down, we as individuals also have an opportunity to step up and take on the roles that we are truly, if you will, designed for. I think the whole money system is a debt system. And I think money is going to go away and it's really more currency. And currency is all about energy exchange, just like you said, Veronica. It is about, the current, if you will, that we pass to each other, that we share with others. And I believe we're going to come together in a completely different way where it is going to make money obsolete because really it simply is a debt system. And moving out of the debt system really into returning to an energy and currency system. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I see it happening, and I do see it happening in a way that really is supportive for everyone. It's gonna take some deconditioning to do that, but I feel like what is ahead is truly amazing and a completely I think in several years it's going to look so different that in ways that we can't even imagine. But I believe, and I'm the eternal optimist. You know, what I see is I'm my environment is shores, and what I see is possibility. Uh, and so, you know, what I see is that, you know, we're really moving into, and that's why each of us is so fascinated with this system of human design and BG5, because I also believe that each of us is a catalyst. Again, as we talked about at the beginning, being a role model for others to know that it is possible and having a system. And somebody said this earlier, it's not, I think you said it, Tuck, it's not the system itself, it's using the system to really be able to see where we've been deeply conditioned to really step into our power, to step into our brilliance, and be a role model for others, inspire others that it really truly is possible. And that's what I feel is so brilliant about this system. This is also why I think what we're going to be doing in Sophia is going to be also life changing. We're doing a whole, Natalie and I are doing a whole thing with OC16 and also the profit potential. We also have a VIP day as well, where we are going to be focused on this topic and how do we align ourselves in a way that, you know, that we truly are prosperous, that we can really shift into that energy of currency and what that all means. We're going to be taking a look at with OC16 lines of communication and in a sense how we work together in ways that we may have not realized how to work together. And I think that's one of the things I'm so excited about, especially in the live Sophia event. So yes, Veronica.
Actually, when you touch on that, I want to add something. As an economist, already university, a long time ago, I'm not going to mention the years, but we studied that we still cannot find the working economic model, as it is quite the economy is really artificial. We're kind of inflating constantly the balloon and deflating it before it bursts. And we cannot find a working economic model. And now the new times are coming, and we are the builders of the new world. And our children will be the builders of the new world. And this is so important. And that's why we're doing this event and putting so much focus on the BG5 and OC16, the business side and the career perspective, and in the online event and in the live event, because we are together building this new reality out of the ashes of the old order. So it is so important to be together, to discuss, to brainstorm together, and come up with new, better working models. I'm not saying we're gonna rethink the entire economic system, of course. So many brilliant minds are busy with that, but energetically, we are preparing and that's why we want to reach so many people. And that's why we put the prices so low for the festival this year, so that more people have access to this information, because all of us together are in these challenging times, uh, where we can find the anchor from which we can thrive together, not only survive.
Yeah, love that, Veronica. And yes, Lucretia.
I can't help but thinking about Gate 55 that is going to become something permanent as a frequency, and that it carries this theme of moodiness, of um, feeling yourself up, or your cup is half full, or your cup is half empty. And so I'm not sure. I don't know how we're going to experience that. Maybe each person is going to experience this in their own way. But I remember, I'm not a religious person, but I remember this. Is it from the Bible? I'm not sure, but where it is said that the people who are feeling, and I looked this word up because I didn't know how it is in English. People who felt in this despondency, that they're going to lose whatever they have. And the people who are feeling high in spirit, they are going to become to receive more and more. So in the new times ahead, we have to really take care of our own individual spirit. And if we feel low or if we feel that at some point the cup is half empty, even though this is not a logical thing, but you may just feel it because it's there, just not to allow ourselves to sink deep into that because it's actually not true. And this may be a sign just to explore our inner world a bit, like Sean said, like Doug said, like to do your own inner work. But it is spirit is only in abundance. There is nothing like the cup is half empty. There is no such thing.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Lucretia. And just to wrap everything up, I would like to hear just your last final words, if you will, from Sean and Tuck, just to wrap up this discussion about money and what you want to leave people with after this discussion. Would you like to start us off, Tuck?
Sure. Um, I just made a note and I'll end with this. You were talking about the debt system. I have it wired that debt has a lot to do with emotions. And my experience is that many people are afraid of, unwilling to feel their emotions. And so, as we have talked in the human design in the BG5 world, from an evolutionary perspective, going from the survival instinct, currently we're thinking people, we think our way through everything, moving towards the emotional intelligence function where we can meet one another. I always say above the wave in Indira's net in a place of absolute empathy. I don't, I just figure I got to take care of my 3 to 5 feet of energy. And the only way I know to do that is to do my work, to do what my heart desires to do, to invest in those essence experiences that make my heart sing. And I figure if I take care of my 3 to 5 feet of energy and I come from a place, I think my come from is really important. Am I coming from love? Am I coming from hostility? Am I coming from fear? Responsibility was the word you used, Sean. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here on this planet. However, I intend to live it full out, fully giving myself permission to be who I am, doing what I love. And I'm just going to say thank you for everyone for being here and allowing me to be a part of the conversation today. And yeah,
I
I don't
love
have
it.
anything else to say.
Perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Tuck, for being here today and sharing your brilliance. Thank you. And Sean, how would you like
Yeah,
to
I'm
wrap
just
everything up and what would you like to
sure.
leave people with?
Sure. I'll just emphasize since I'm a 4-1 projector, advisor, juxtaposition, everything in my design speaks to bridging, speaks to partnership, arbitration, mediation, one-on-one with others, relational counseling. All the stuff I do is always framing the perspective back and forth. Juxtaposition is my favorite word in the English language. It's all about finding pieces of the puzzle to put them together in the right ways and understanding different frameworks or perspectives in order to do that between people, understanding perspectives and even if you don't agree, like what is the principle upon which we can find the value systems upon which we agree? In other words, what is the natural law? What is the natural framework? How does this place really work? How does life actually work? And with money, it's a huge thing because it's a resource, it's an energy, as everyone speaks to. And it's about attunement, and it's about following your passion, as Tuck spoke so brilliantly too. And it's about understanding the spiritual value of it, as everyone has spoken to. So I agree with what everyone has said, again, from different perspectives on the same framework. It's beautiful. This is the beauty of diversity. I'm a 15-4. It's the magic of when people are seeing the same thing, but from different perspectives. It's not the psychological where we are misinterpreting cognitively information that's there and seeing it through a dark lens. That's the realm of opinion and false news, right? This is about seeing the same thing from different perspectives, which is the beauty and the magic of it. So I will just say, to add to all this, since I'm a 4-1 and everything in my design is about relationship, and I'm a simple bridge with four, a simple split with 4 bridges and so forth. that it's about healing our relationship with money and understanding where that came from. It's about being kind to ourselves as we grew up and are growing up now, still as adults, in a global environment that is extremely fearful and stressed out about money issues, right? Material issues and survival based. And you can never underestimate the genetics of survival. It got us 4 million years here, okay? It's like, Ross said we're all killer monkeys at the core, which I thought was hilarious because there's a certain element of truth to that. When you strip away everything, and I know this because I lived, what we would call an abject poverty for 16 years, but also making life work in a miraculous way, or working with life to allow it to work in a miraculous way. I'm very careful about the words that I use because they describe energies and frequencies and dynamics that are really important to distinguish, to differentiate out, so people understand, feel it in their body how it actually works, and don't approach it in the wrong way. So for me, it's about coming to new terms with our relationship around money and how it represents spirit. It is formed through the right spirit and attuning to that spirit. It is, created or manifest, or whatever word you want to use. It is attracted into our life. It's there, and we come into relationship with it from attuning correctly. And through our attunement to the relationship, it shows up in its magical ways in our life. And it's not just money, it's everything to do around money and prosperity and the quality of life that we're allowed to live. So I would say, just to heal our relationships around that, what it meant to us as a symbol, how it was used for us or against us in our upbringing, and to be gentle and kind and compassionate about that so that we can work with it to deconstruct the way that it's been used as a false premise, as a platform for moving forward, and reconstruct it in a way that's more attuned to our own individual spirit as a true premise moving forward.
Mm, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you, Tuck. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you, Lucretia. It's been an incredible, incredible discussion, conversation, a very eye-opening. Again, we invite you to become a part of the festival, whether it's live and continue the discussion or whether it be online. And again, there is so much. I love what Veronica said earlier. We are the people that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that have the power to change the world, change ourselves, as Tuck and Sean, alluded to as well. Change ourselves first, and then being a role model for others in what is possible in creating the future. And that really is ultimately what the festival is about. So again, it's been made very affordable as well. And if the conversation that you hear in your mind is because, well, I can't come because of money, this is a beautiful, beautiful chance to look at where is it limiting you, right? Is it something that you really do want to be there, but the only reason that you're not there is because of money? This can be just a transformational experience for you in seeing how you can get there despite whatever your story is about money. So the festival can start the moment that you sign up and you start to deal with, like, what is my conditioning? Why am I allowing this to stop me? What are some other ways or means, if it's something that truly you want to be a part of this experience? How can you find the money? How can you attract the money? How can you align yourself in a way where you are not beating yourself up or making yourself wrong or feeling limited because you feel like you can't afford it? This is part of the process. The mess is your message in seeing how, if that is what is actually stopping you, that can be a beautiful lead in to becoming a part of the festival as well. So don't let the finances stop you. And again, it's made really affordable so that you can join us, and be a part of not only this festival, but what we are creating and where we're going next. Anything,
Or
Lucretia?
just come and volunteer.
Yeah, or volunteer. Exactly. Also looking for volunteers both online and in person as well. So that's also an opportunity as well for you to be a part of the festival. So I'm just going to stop my share here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. This has been absolutely incredible. Look forward to seeing you next week, next Monday, and look forward to seeing you at the festival as well. Thanks, everyone. If you want to unmute yourself and say goodbye, we will sign off for today, and we will see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, you guys. See you later.
Bye-bye.